Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the In Stride podcast. I know it's been a little while since our last upload, but we are back, and Alex, Nathan, and I talk about the role social media plays on diabetes management before getting a little sidetracked with a few tangents. This episode doesn't entirely follow a full plot, but the banter is good and true to us. If you're finding these podcasts interesting or useful, please drop us a like or a follow on any of our social media platforms and check out our website to learn more. We've moved away from our Reddit subgroup and just launched the In Stride Discord channel. This is still invite only, so if you're interested in joining us on Discord, send us a message on any of our social media platforms or send us an email, and we'll be happy to get an invite sent your way. Thanks for listening, and on to the episode.
Even with me talking about being like hyper engaged and always like paying attention, I think that's different than marinating in the just the social media side of it and always thinking about, oh, I'm a diabetic, I'm a person with diabetes, blah, blah, blah. It does become exhausting after a while.
No, 100%. Like always seeing someone that's allegedly doing it perfectly, which is kind of the whole thing with social media in general, right? It's a picture, and life is not a picture in any sense. Diabetes doesn't get a pass there either, right? Like if you see someone had a really good day or a really good week, whatever, that's great, but it's not every day. It's not every week. Everyone, it, it happens to everyone. It's there. It's apparent. That's part of it.
Yeah, I almost think too that like, man, it's already such a big ask to constantly be paying attention to your blood sugars, constantly be thinking about nutrition, constantly be dealing with the ups and downs, and then also being fed, just content, constantly with social media. I think leads to that potential burnout. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's really awesome to connect with people, just like it is right now. Real people. Like I never get tired of this, but always being pulled into viewing the fact that this thing does exist in your life is a bit exhausting on top of just the daily management of it all.
Yep. Yep.
Well, it's the little shitty things that happen, right? Like I was going climbing yesterday, right, in my buddy's garage, and I noticed earlier during the day I was busy at work all day. I'm freaking frankly just fried today, but that's a topic for a lot of other times, right? But like I noticed I had like 2 units left in my pod, or like 4 units left, or something like that. Sometime during the day, got busy, was like, okay, whatever, it'll alert me when the insulin's gone. It alerted me, or it expired, or the insulin ran out halfway to my buddy's house. I'm like, okay, great, completely forgot. Turn around, like there goes an hour, right? It's like,
Yeah.
Or I actually thought about it. I was like, well, if we just went climbing, I'd probably just have left it for 3 hours and went, whatever. But usually, like what we do is we go climbing and then go get like a burrito and a margarita afterwards. So it's just like. You just like all these little things. You're just kind of like, well, maybe this isn't that big of a deal. It probably isn't that big of a deal. But like, if I do this next thing, it is a big deal. And like, managing those thresholds, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, do you at least get a good climb in, Alex?
Nah. Clara goes with me usually because she loves to go do it. And
yes, nice.
It's mostly just to hang out and catch up with some friends and let the 3-year-old run around and be an insane person.
Heck yeah. Are you climbing a little bit still, Alex? I know you got into it there when you were in San Diego. You kind of got hooked. Now you're in the front range, man. You have access to like pretty good rock.
You say that, yeah, and you're right. You're definitely right, but I feel like there's only so much time.
Yeah.
I don't even have time to go riding right now, so.
Fair enough.
So, currently my bike is in the garage. The SRAM shifter warranty just got in today, and I have to like go install that thing. And I'm like, cool. Maybe I'm gonna get for a ride once this month.
You need to put another big scary race on your calendar.
I know. Well,
that's always what motivates you.
I was thinking about doing the rad this weekend, but then I just haven't had any chance to ride. So
I hear that comes in handy for the rad. That gets up there. That goes like
Yeah.
way up there.
What's that, right, guys?
Oh,
The
the Rad in Trinidad is another lifetime. It's actually you actually get a token for Unbound.
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
But
Yeah, it was a part
yeah,
of the Grand Prix last couple of years and isn't any longer. But it's a lot of climbing, and I heard there's some like really techie sections too. Sounds fun, except for the altitude.
I mean it's about the same as what I live at.
Yeah, you'll be fine. It's the flatlanders that are kind of boned.
Justin, how was Mammoth? I saw you were out in California again. You're kind of
Dude,
in my old zone.
Mammoth, super cool. Like the town, everything around it, scenery, absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Race was trying to do that with no altitude prep was such a bad idea. That was so
yeah,
hard.
it's high. It's high
It's
up there.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I think it's only what 6,000.
over 8. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and big mountain too.
hmm yeah, a
Yeah, the
lot.
Owens Valley is unbelievable. It's so beautiful. I never have been out there riding, but I've definitely been out there fly fishing a fair amount.
Oh, I could any outdoor activity out there would be like you just have endless terrain to do whatever you want on, and you're never going to get bored because it's always something cool. And
Yeah,
that was really neat. But I kind of expected that for the race result, so like, is what it is. But
were you able to hit some hot springs while you're out there?
sadly, no, we didn't have time. One of the buddies I was staying
Oh,
with won the race, so we had to hang around all evening so you could do podium presentation. And when we were gonna go to a hot spring after the race, but we got obviously had more
bummer.
important things to do.
Had to do podium
Yeah,
duties.
but it was good. It was fun.
That's cool,
Um,
man.
it was yeah,
Heck
really good
yeah,
experience. Would
cool.
recommend.
Diabetes stuff went all right. Altitude
Thankful,
didn't seem to have any issues.
thankfully, yeah. I that was one of the better diabetes days I've had on the bike in a long time, and I think. Granted, I've had some other like health stuff going on prior to that, just like from residual fatigue and
Mm.
a bunch of just stress and that I bring on myself because I'm not training. And then like, yeah, it's just the cycle of never recovering. So I took like a whole like 10 days off or like 10 days of riding no more than an hour before the race, and then the whole week after the race just totally off. And that has seemed to do the trick. I think we're back to square one, which is nice.
I mean, I feel like that's the whole thing, right? Like you keep
Yeah.
doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's like even if it's not. I mean, we were just talking about diabetes. Even if it's not like that terrible, but it's just like it's a grind.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Well,
I
and
get it.
so I mean, I love that. I love that because like Justin, you realize like, okay, I was just overtrained, overraced, had a pretty busy schedule. I just need to like figure out how to have some recovery days, which 1 hour spend for a professional cyclist is like nothing. That's just like active recovery. That's just what your body needs. But going back to this like idea of social media burnout, kind of connected with type 1 diabetes, it's harder to. You can't just leave it. So, what does like recovery look like for you guys when it comes to your diabetes management? I'm just kind of curious because I think that is a part of it. It's like you get really really excited and you like bury yourself in researching new technologies and seeing what people out there are doing on social media and all that kind of comes, it helps you build your foundation of knowledge. But then, you do hit this like, oh, I'm just burned out. I need to like step away from it, but I can't completely step away from it. Just like you, Justin, can't completely step away from cycling. So you build in these like kind of active recovery blocks. And I'm curious, like that's probably a pretty good methodology for managing type 1 diabetes. And what do you think that looks like for you guys? Like actually just like, okay, I'm burned out. I can't look at social media anymore in regards to type 1 diabetes. What would be like an active recovery where you're still having to manage it, still having to pull good numbers, but giving your body a break, just like your mental side a break.
I think that's kind of the challenge, right? Is you can't exactly take a full recovery day, right? Like if I'm on the bike, I can be like, all right, you know what, active recovery, cool, that's a 1 hour spin, but like Or you could say I'm just taking the day off, right? I feel
Mhm.
like garbage. I can't even drag myself out of bed. Obviously can't quite do that, right? Like, or at least as far as like I could give up on diabetes for the day, but it's just going to make tomorrow worse.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I don't know, that's kind of the challenge. And maybe the way I think about it is like trying to only apply diabetes knowledge in terms of something else I'm trying to accomplish instead of going out like, let me just go research the new, cool diabetes tech out there. It's like, hey, I've got this problem. Let me go see if I can find a solution for that and then like bring diabetes along with it, instead of being like, hey, I'm going all in on like understanding like the metabolic blah, 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 I can't even speak today, but, like, yeah, I don't know. Like with Unbound, right? It was the goal was to figure out how to drink 120 grams of carbs an hour, and then diabetes kind of goes along with it. So it was like easy to like, think about that because I was learning how to do that other thing that was like a goal that I had.
Hmm. That's. Do you not ever feel like this problem solving approach still just wears down the diabetes side of your brain?
Oh, I mean, it definitely
Yeah.
does, right? Like, I think though, like because I don't know, and I want to hear what you guys have to
Hmm.
say too, because I'm curious how it's different. But I'm just thinking of it in terms of like, okay, I have to always make sure I have an active insulin pump on. My CGM has to be working, and I have to have a general awareness of what my blood sugars are, and so it's all kind of just a level of management of like, don't do too much so that I never reach that peak burnout, right? Like, 'cause I feel like that's the thing, right? If you're training a ton, you're going to burn out because you're just not recovering and you're just kind of tired of doing it. Like, I don't know. At least that's how I've experienced it. But
For sure. Yeah, no, I definitely have a very different experience in that regard too. Like for me, it's I would say I do a lot less research on understanding the whys and hows everything works, purely because of just so much life experience with diabetes. So because of that, I really try and think ahead like 4 to 6 hours, basically just constantly. Like I'm always thinking like what am I doing? What am I going to be doing and where do I want my blood sugars to be pretty exactly during that time period. So I'm always trying to think ahead, like always trying to do something to make sure I'm both currently trending the way I want based on what I am or about to do. And then also, like, I'm setting myself up for success later in that day. Like, 'cause you can't really think much further ahead than that, especially on an insulin pump system or some sort of system where you're only using rapid acting insulin. Like I don't have to think a day or two ahead of time with long acting insulin. And because of that, I definitely have these periods where it's just like I'm cracked. I can't think about this at all. And a lot of times it does come in with like my training as well on the bike. Like when I'm doing big training weeks, that's obviously a lot of like physical stress from the training itself, but then there's also a lot of like there's so much more diabetes stuff. It's not necessarily harder, but there's just more because I'm eating so much more, I'm training so much more, insulin sensitivities all over the chart. Sometimes sleep isn't exactly where you want it to be, like just like not being able to sleep as much as you need, so you're a little more tired during the day, and then you're making like slightly less intelligent decisions when you are tired, which impact your diabetes, which then impact your training, which blah 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 blah, like goes on and on. And I often get to a point like it's probably almost monthly, like typically on a rest week or like right before a rest week when I know I have fewer, I don't want to say fewer obligations on the diabetes side because there's never fewer, but just less that I have to like plan ahead for very strategically. And I just take the Dexcom off. Like the Dexcom, the sensor will go to the end of its life, and I don't put one on for a day so that I don't have these constant notifications and like I can't always see where my blood sugar's at, so that way, like it's trickier to plan where I want it to be, and I can't see where it's trending, which is kind of bad for the diabetes side in the short term. But because I'm doing that, it also gives me like this little refresh, and it's like one thing I remember hearing when I first started wearing an insulin pump and a CGM was like how good it feels to take a naked shower, and it's where you don't have a sensor on and you don't have an insulin a pump side on. It's like it's the best feeling ever. And like when you don't have a sensor on for a day or so, and then you end up changing your pump side at the same time, it's like this just amazing refresh. And I have to do something like that, like on I would say monthly. It probably ends up being like every other month or something like that. There's like 1 or 2 days where it's just like, all right, I do still have diabetes, and I'm checking my blood sugar with a blood sugar meter, like just poking and sticking and leaving test strips everywhere. But that is enough to kind of remove myself from the constant stream of data that I have access to like get back into it, right?
So I'm curious. You said something about like planning 4 to 6 hours into the future. And I'm curious, like, what all that involves. Like, are you talking, trying to figure out, like, hey, like, constantly thinking in 4 hours, I want my blood sugars to be 132 or, whatever? Or is it more of like, hey, I know I need to change my pump site sometime today. And, like, what level of thinking is your, like, 4 to 6 hour future look?
Yeah, so that's a good question there. This is there's a lot that goes into this. Mostly it's referring to training, like both it's food consumption, training load, and then recovery are basically the three things I'm really are the three variables in there. Or I guess maybe variable. I don't know what the right word for that would be, but so like when I wake up in the morning on a training day, I'm thinking like, okay, my blood sugar's here. I need to eat X amount of carbs for breakfast because I have this 6 hour training day, and I want to make sure that I have both enough fat in this breakfast to like sustain the amount of carbohydrate I have for more than just a short period of time, and not have so much insulin on board when I start training that my blood sugars are just tanking in the first hour. Like kind of similar to a race scenario, but on with much less serious circumstances or consequences. And that kind of goes on for like throughout the day, like throughout breakfast, the ride, and then like especially after the ride. I think after the ride is where it makes more of a difference because like obviously I'm like to be an elite athlete, like you can't just be eating all the time. Like you need to have like a relatively strict diet. Like you can't just be like eating sugar and carbs constantly, or you're going to be a little overweight. And obviously, in cycling, weight is a very important metric. It's not something I try to track anymore or like track calories or anything, but I do know that after my ride, I need my recovery meal, like recovery drink, recovery food. But then, like, between that and like maybe a snack later in the day and then dinner, extra food isn't necessarily necessary as long as I'm eating enough at those meals and being able to think 4 to 6 hours ahead when I'm looking at the food I'm going to eat for right after the ride and that first meal right after the ride and the amount of insulin I'm planning to take and the timing of that insulin. That goes a long way in maintaining blood sugars for the 6 to 10 hours from the end of the ride to when I go to sleep with the 2 or 3 meals that are in there so that I don't have to like just constantly be having gummy bears for the whole day, which might sound great, but I know in like 2 or 3 weeks I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I gotta like start cutting back on calories now because I wasn't quite as stringent earlier in the year. But that goes on constantly.
Okay, so it's more in response to your training, not necessarily like the diabetes side of things. Diabetes goes along with the training aspect of it. Because I was thinking, because I do know some people like this, right? They're like, the diabetes is they're always thinking 4 hours ahead on the diabetes front. I'm just like, for me, I'm just like, no way. I go snack all the time, and like obviously though, when you're training, I mean, right? You have to be like, hey, I don't want to be 47 when I start, and then definitely afterwards and eating the carbs. But okay, that clarifies a lot because I was like, man,
Yeah.
that's an intense way to live life.
No, it is, and like that is, I would say that's even more prevalent on easy days, because then, like, especially easy days in the middle of a training block, like a lot of this revolves around training for me because that is so much of my life. But I feel, yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to go on is like my experience, right? And easy days in a training block are pretty much that the entire day, like from the second I wake up to when I go to sleep, because obviously you do still need food, you just still need enough food, but it's a lot easier to overeat on an easy day for me, at least, just because I do also like to snack, and I know that if my blood sugar's going low or like I see it going low, that's gonna be like, all right, well, I guess it's time for another cookie. And if I can be pretty precise with my carb counting, insulin control, insulin timing, like really taking all of that into account with like the activity that I have planned for the day, or if I'm going to work, if I'm going to be on my feet, like just all these other little things that affect like your body, your stress, your blood sugar levels throughout the day, and like planning for that appropriately with both diabetes control and nutrition, like that goes a long way in blood sugar control, like just overall health, my ability to sleep that night, and then like my training goals for like body composition and macros and whatnot as well.
I have a couple thoughts I'm still forming about like how all these different components fit together. But like Nathan, I feel like we still need to hear how you manage this stuff.
Well, I mean, so what I'm hearing Justin say, it sounds really confusing, and it seems like he's got to really be like dialed in with everything that he's got laid out. But my thought is, and my guess is, it probably kind of mirrors my life, where once you figure it out, it just becomes routine, it's just autopilot. And so, where Justin's strategy sounds like really detailed and really like it takes a lot of brain power to stay on top of. I'm thinking, I'm kind of reflecting what he's saying in my own daily schedule, and it's like I kind of do the same thing. Right? I kind of structure my day out to, okay, morning workout, food, insulin, everything kind of has to line up for this event. Now I'm just a weekend warriors, but morning workout every day hits at about the same time, rolling into work and stress that kind of comes with that, rolling into family, requirements and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, man, my days all kind of mirror one another. And so the amount of insulin I take at a certain amount of time all just kind of becomes the same. And so I can almost just like turn my brain off and just go through my day and almost go through my insulin delivery, go through, all the processes without even thinking about it. And that's just because, you kind of go through the day, everything kind of becomes repetitive. I'm guessing, Justin, your training, your work, it all kind of has nuances and variations, whether you have, big races coming up, so it switches a little bit, but not that far out of the norm. I know that is with me as well. And so that, as we're talking about, like, how do you do recovery with living with a chronic disease? And I think that's it, man, is like developing routine in your life to where you literally can turn off 90% of your brain when it comes to managing your diabetes. And it just kind of clicks. It just kind of goes because you're doing the same damn thing that you did every day for the last year. So why would it be hard to manage, right? So figure it out, like get routines that work for you, like really figure out like, okay, I eat these foods. How much insulin do I need for these foods? Like, I mean, I ate a meal tonight that's the same meal that I eat all the time. I had, beef tacos with the kids. We have this meal all the time. Like, I know how much insulin to give myself. So it just kind of becomes second nature in a way. For me, when like burnout happens, like when the unexpected happens, so for instance, like it's hard to get supplies for some weird reason, right? All of a sudden, my system of buying, Dexcom sensors, like for whatever reason, doesn't work this month, and I'm out of sensors, and now I have to scramble to figure out how to get, sensors, and for the, $50 a sensor price, not the $120 sensor price, and then you get all pissed off because you realize, like, okay, so if I buy the ones that are made for the diabetic, it's going to cost me, I don't even know what a Dexcom sensor costs. It's like, let's call it $100 or something before discount, before insurance. But I can go buy a Stello over the counter. My mom can go buy a Stello for $50. It's like, wait a second, why is the type 1 diabetic getting charged god awful amounts of money? So anyway, that's just like those are the headaches that cause burnout for me, is when I get all pissed off with the industry, when I have a hard time getting supplies that I need to just run that routine that I'm talking about, right? Like, I really like routine. I really want things to just click. And when, like, I can't get access to something, or, something stupid comes up that's beyond my control, that's when I really get burned out and just like, diabetes is stupid, this sucks. But then you figure it out, and life goes on, and blah blah blah.
Well, I think that's some good points, right? And thinking back on what I said initially about, like, well, I try to just apply diabetes learnings to, some event or some goal or whatever that. I think inherently in there, and I just hadn't really thought about it until you guys said it, is, well, I still have that same, routine, structure, whatever going on in the background. But, and this is the thought that was kind of brewing when Justin was finishing up what he was saying, is, it's kind of interesting how I think the technology helps in this sense too, right? Because, I've been talking about my looping system a lot. I know, Justin, you've got the, whatever the heck they call it, Control IQ, or,
Something.
whatever. And and like, those kind of things help make those routines even easier. Like, I don't have to think about it. I just need to have insulin and blood sugars and problems. So, obviously you have to have, like, be able to handle the nuance, but I think when you kind of use this stuff to your advantage, right, and like figure out how to like minimize the effort that you put in day to day, you then have the mental capacity to like go, okay, well, hey, this is like a minor inconvenience, okay, no big deal, or hey, I get to like learn this cool new thing on how to dose insulin on a 13-hour bike ride. But 100% agreed though with you, Nathan. Like, every time I get close to running out of supplies and I have to go make a trip to the doctor and it takes half my day, or, insurance sends me a letter and says, by the way, we were covering Novolog or Humalog or whatever I am on. Honestly, I don't even know what I'm on right now. But as soon as they told me I'm changing it, I had to like go call the doctor and pay them to flip the prescription. It's like that. You're right. That's the exact stuff that leads to just frustration. And you stack too many frustrations on top of one another, and then you're just super burnt out.
Yeah, it's navigating the insurance system and the healthcare system is the part that sucks about being a type 1 diabetic. Like I said, if I could just go buy my Humalog over the counter for, after my coupon, $35 a month, if they could just sell it to me for that, if I didn't have to go through all the loops, like, hell, here's my coupon. Now it's not $400, it's $35. Okay, cool. That would be rad. If I could just go buy the over-the-counter CGMs, I could go buy the Lingo for, I think they're having a sale right now because they just bought some for $48. And, it's great. Like, cool, I can go buy Lingos, right? It's the same technology as the Libre. I love Abbott's algorithm. This stuff is bomber. It's really good. But for whatever reason, they put a cap on the Lingos because they don't want type 1 diabetics to buy them, so you can't go over 200. And it's like, what kind of like shenanigan bullshit is this, man? It's like, the only reason these CGMs exist is because guys like me have been using them for 18 years. And so, like, it's just like that kind of stuff. I'm sorry I'm venting because this is something I dealt with a little bit this week. But hey, finger to the industry, man. I'm going to run lingos because, hey, you know what? When I'm over 200, I'll just bring it back down.
They don't show a blood sugar over 200?
Yeah, they cap them. They cap them.
Yeah,
because they don't want you to buy the $48 one. They want you, type 1 diabetic, to pay the. They want to get that insurance money, bro.
How do you tell if you're a? The whole marketing on those is like, find out if you're pre-diabetic.
That's a good question. I think, dude. I think if you put one of those things on and it just says you're above 200, it's like action plan. You just go to the doctor now for all you type.
So like, you already know that's the case, but
it's okay. Time to go get some insulin. Time to be diabetic. No, I think that's kind of funny. That was like so. Like I said, if I could do without having to navigate the BS system and just like give me a card so I can go buy insulin, let me buy CGM without my doctor's permission.
I would be willing to bet you soon that, okay, so I have like Extra on my phone, which is Android only. So if you have an iPhone, then, I got no answers for you totally. But there might be a way. I mean, if the technology is the same on these sensors for the Lingo versus the Libre, that means the data is probably there. It's just probably not like cleared to tell you over 200 in the app. So I bet you that data is there. I mean, I don't know this for sure, but those guys at Night Scout might be working on that because
I think, dude, it gets even worse than this. So if anybody's listening that can help with this, I was consulting with ChatGPT, and I think it's an FDA approval, man. I don't even think it's the brand. I don't think it's Abbott. I don't think it's Dexcom with their Stella product. I think it's an FDA regulation, which is totally bullshit.
Well, so that's what I'm saying.
Let a type 1 diabetic get access to cheap sensors, man. Like, that is like a no-brainer.
Well,
like, what's crazy about it is
the data.
Like, what's crazy about it is, like, we know these companies can sell this product for $48 a sensor because they're doing it. And so why, as a type 1 diabetic, do I have to pay hundreds of dollars if I don't have insurance? Can somebody answer that question for me, please?
I don't even think ChatGPT has an answer for that right now.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is, right, it's a Bluetooth thing, which is what, Dexcom uses and Libre probably uses and all that. Like, it's probably that same Bluetooth signal, and whatever you're using to read that signal is blocked from displaying numbers over 200. But if somebody else gets that, that's what they did with Extra, with Night Scout, and Android APS, is basically said, hey, we got this Bluetooth signal. Let's interpret this signal and do that do the calculation to blood sugar anyway. So if they can work on that, I mean, great, $50 a sensor.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, there you go, Night Scout. I think I have that on my phone. Yeah,
that could
be it.
That could be.
Let's hack this thing. Nobody needs to be buying the diabetes version.
Agreed. Yeah, I'd say the insurance hurdle is the one. I don't know if burnout's the right word for me. Anxiety, definitely. It's just, I just don't want to deal with it. But it's a necessary evil for us, right? Cool.
Fun times.
Should we call it on that? I kind of went a different direction, but I like where that went, so I think that's solid.